All right, hi everybody. Welcome to today's webinar. We're going to be walking through the Pressbooks Results Demo Course. I see a lot of familiar faces and a lot of new faces, so welcome to all of you. Before I jump into the demonstration part, I wanted to talk a little bit high-level context. What is Pressbooks Results and what was it designed to do? So many of you, or all of you, I think, are familiar with Pressbooks, which is an open source book publishing platform. And many people will create textbooks and other learning material in Pressbooks. Often that material is free and openly licensed. And increasingly, instructors want to include formative assessments. So quizzes and other types of activities that students can practice repeatedly to check their understanding. And Pressbooks has an integration with the free and open source version of H5P, which are interactive learning activities. When someone puts an H5P activity into a book, they can be configured so that a student can take many attempts. And the student can see whether the answers are correct or incorrect, and often they can retake them. And so the student's getting good practice and good insight into what they're learning. But without extra features, the instructor has no idea what the student has done unless the student tells them. And so Pressbooks Results is a kind of an assessment helper that's designed to increase the learning effectiveness of Pressbooks educational materials. When you configure it for digital book, it will send the scores from your learner's attempts to your LMS gradebook, the overall score for a given chapter or given assignment. And it also provides what we call the chapter results viewer, which will give you more insight, you and your students, into how they did on individual assessments or activities inside of a chapter. This is now going to be a standard feature on all of our Pressbooks enterprise networks. Right now, this term, we're doing a pilot with a few dozen instructors at, I think, 30 or 40 institutions. And these instructors are using this with real students in their course, and they're giving us feedback about what they like about this, what they wish were improved, and features that they'd like to see. So we're actively developing and improving this. The idea is also that we would provide access to a demo course so that anybody who wants to try out Pressbooks Results and see how it works in the LMS of their choice can do it. So today in this meeting, I will show you what Pressbooks Results looks like from the student point of view in Canvas, in Blackboard, and in D2L. And then I'll show you also a little bit of how you could configure it and start using it if you are an instructor. I want this to be interactive. If you have questions or if there are things that you want to know more about, please feel free to pause or raise your hand or ask questions at any time. I'll also try to pause at different moments and take questions from each of you so that I'm not going faster than you're ready for and you feel comfortable with everything that I'm saying. Okay, great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to start with the Canvas LMS. And what I will share is what a sample course, our demo course, looks like in Canvas. So this is the sample course in Canvas. If you have already enrolled, you're welcome to log in as a student and see it. If you haven't enrolled but want to, if you visit this URL, I'll put it in the chat, you should be able to see that this course allows for enrollment. If you're not logged in, you'll see like an enroll in this course link over in the right-hand side. And then you can enroll in the course following those instructions. Welcome page that introduces the course, what it's designed to do. If you're enrolled in the course for the first time, you need to enroll in the course. There's a join this course button, takes you to a page like this. You provide the information you need. And then once you're enrolled, you come back to the course and you'll see a modules tab. This will present a bunch of information to you. There's a course introduction. This is a page made in Canvas that explains what this course is. There's an introductory page. There's a module with graded activities that has 4 sample graded activities. There's also a discussion forum where you can ask questions, as well as links to the Pressbooks Results viewer. So I'm going to just get started by saying, next, I want to read more about this. This is a live chapter written in Pressbooks. This is not a graded activity. It's just a reading that was brought in via what we call LTI. So what you're seeing is the latest version of the live Pressbooks content loaded in the browser so the student feels like it's an LMS page. And so this page was written in the book, in a Pressbooks book, and explains what Pressbooks Results is, why people use it, and then some troubleshooting information if you run into problems. Next, there's a forum here, a discussion forum. If you have any questions about Pressbooks Results in the demo course, you're welcome to ask them there, and our team will monitor that and respond to you or respond to your questions about them. So in this course, you can ask us questions and we'll happily answer them. I'm going to move on next to the graded activity, and this is the first graded activity. This is a Portuguese language assignment. I've already taken this one, so I'm going to skip this one and go to the next assignment. This is a literature assignment. It's worth 10 points, and it's telling me I'm doing this via an external tool. This is being done via Pressbooks. So I'm loading this. This is a poetry reading, and I come down and I can read a little bit about this poem. I'm learning about this. I can see, oh, what's this? It's an annotation. So the instructor has built annotations to explain things using a free integration with Hypothesis. And then I can learn more about the annotations. Okay, I come down and I've read about this and I'm ready to answer this question. I'm doing my first H5P activity, and I'm going to say that's false. So I got that correct. It gave me some feedback. Great. I'm ready to move on to the next. I could read all these annotations, and then I can look at this quiz here. Who was Lincoln's general? I'll answer that question. I'll move on to the next question. Start answering these questions. This one has a hint, so I'll look at the hint. Oh, its capital is Madison. I think that's Wisconsin. So I've completed that activity. Then I need to collect all the rhyme end words. This will be a click the words activity. These are the words that rhyme. I've got those correct. And now it asks a true false question here. The first question, I will say, yes, that's true. And the second question, that's false. And now I need to finish this activity. You can see now that I've clicked finish, it shows me my overall score for that complex activity. So I've done a true false question, and I've done the multi-part quiz, and then I just scroll to the bottom. It doesn't look like there's any more questions in this chapter. Now I would go to my grades section and I would see, for this activity, I got a perfect score, 10 out of 10. Now, if I wanted to, as the student, there's also a feature in Pressbooks called the Pressbooks Results Viewer. This has been built by Pressbooks to give instructors and students greater insight into how they got the score that they earned. You saw that activity is worth 10 points, but there were a lot of individual points I earned on the activity. So I could come to the Pressbooks Results Viewer. The first activity, which you didn't see me do, it was out of 29 total points. I got a 5 out of 6, an 8 out of 9, a 13 out of 13, and a 1 out of 1. For the literature assignment you just saw, I scored a 1 out of 1 and a 12 out of 12, a total of 13 out of 13. That means we will send a percentage score, 13 out of 13 is 100%, back to the gradebook, and it will translate to be equal to that percentage out of the number of total points for an individual activity. And so that's how the kind of grade passback works for an individual activity, and that's what you'd be able to see on the results viewer. I see a hand. I'll pause there and say, Mary, go ahead.
When we're looking at this activity results, is this something that will only be on the instructor side, or is this going to be on the student side too?
Yeah, so this is right now you're seeing the student view. I'm logged in as a student right now. So
Okay.
this is what a student would see if you make this link visible in the course.
Okay.
Student only sees, I'm logged in as a fake person named Steve Flagstaff because it rhymes with my name. But if you're an instructor, and I could show you the instructor view later, if you're an instructor, you'll see all of your students, where a student will only see themselves. They won't see their peers.
Okay.
Yeah, great question. So that's a bit of how Pressbooks Results works in Canvas. And so you can see, if I come back to modules, these are the graded Pressbooks activities, but I could have other things built in the LMS. Like I might have a high stakes LMS quiz that comes right after that reading, where I had them do a bunch of practice activities and then I make them take the real quiz for lots of points. Or I might have them do a discussion forum like you saw earlier. Or now you need to turn in a writing assignment based on this poem. Those could be put anywhere in the course that you want, but the Pressbooks content can be kind of the spine of the course. It can be your reading activities, as well as these formative assessment graded activities throughout. I've shown you the Pressbooks Results Viewer, and then there's a guide chapter here at the end, which is how you could use Pressbooks Results in your course. It explains how to configure it, how to set it up, what do you need to have it, how do you configure it, and then there's some instructions for proceeding. That's the basic introduction to how Pressbooks Results works in Canvas. Any of you that are Canvas users, do you have questions or things that you'd like me to spend more time on or you'd like to see?
Can we see the instructor side of those results?
Sure. I need to switch my screen view So this is the Canvas course from the instructor view. And so what you could look at first would be the grade book, and you would see all of the enrolled students and all of the grades that people have earned for the various assignments. So this the Lorraine Edeker one that I just did, let's find Steve Flagstaff. Where is he at? He starts with F. You can see, okay, here's his score. He got a 10 out of 10 on that activity. Overall, so far on these assignments from Pressbooks, he's been scoring 96.55. Well, how did he score that score, and how are other people doing on the Edeker activity? Oops, sorry, I went back too far. And then from the instructor view, I can go to the same thing, which is the results viewer, what I would see for lesson 1. So you can see that generally people are doing okay on this first activity. A few people have scored a 4. People are doing okay on this, but there's a few people that are really struggling a bit more. So 4 out of 9. I might want to check with test student and John test to make sure they understand. And then a lot of people are struggling on the conjugation. You can see people are getting 0s, people are getting 6s, 4s. So the conjugation is really where people are having problem. Sarah versus a star, people are doing just fine on that one. And then I could look at the Black Hawk held activity, which I just showed you, and you'd say, okay, people are usually doing okay. One person struggled. And then this quiz, people are having a harder time on. So I might want to follow up and say, okay, hey folks, I noticed you're having a hard time on this Black Hawk quiz. Let's cover this material again in the lecture tomorrow. Did that answer that question? Is that helpful to see?
Yes, thank you. And I see my name because I enrolled in the course.
Okay, all right. Normally, if this were a real course, I wouldn't show anyone else's grades, but this is a demo course, and so I'm sorry that you're on the recording. And this,
No, it's good. I'm just like,
okay.
oh, yay, I did something right.
Great. So if I wanted to bring in more content into the course, I'll go ahead and show that from the instructor view since I'm here right now. Let's imagine that I hadn't added any material before. Actually, in fact, I'll go to a blank course so that I don't mess this course up. Here's a blank course. And let's say I wanted to add a new module with some sample activities. I'll call it sample activities. And then I'll come down here and I'll click this plus button. If Pressbooks has been configured at your institution, you'll see external tool, and you'll see an option that says Pressbooks Content Selector. When you click the content selector, it will bring up a content selector, and this will show you all of the Pressbooks content on your network that you have access to as an instructor. If you want the results viewer, you'd click the results viewer. In this case, I have a test book. So I'd say, I want to bring in this training book that I was just showing you. This chapter is just a linked resource. These chapters are graded assignments, and it's telling me right now at the time of creation what they are. So I would click select content, and then it's now created these 5 links. These 2 are just regular links, and these are graded assignments worth 10 points each. Let's say I wanted to change this one to be worth 14 or 15. I could come into assignments. I could see that this assignment's been created, and I could just go ahead and click edit. And I'd say, oh, I actually want this to be worth 15 points. You could set a due date or other kinds of things. You usually want to configure it for grading before students start to attempt it, because once they've started attempting, then their grades will already be in there. It won't automatically be updated if you change the configuration. So that's kind of how you would bring it in and configure it. Go ahead, Mary.
Just to confirm, so the author of the book or whoever is using this particular book, they need to have set up the different graded activities prior to actually having designed the course. I just want to make sure I can explain this correctly to my faculty.
Yeah, usually, yeah, that's that. So the order would be, if a chapter has been configured for grading, then you'll be able to bring it in as an assignment. If it hasn't been configured for grading, then it will not be brought in as an assignment, because Pressbooks will say, oh, or the LTI connection will say, oh, this doesn't have any graded activities in it, so it won't be a graded assignment.
Okay, so those H5P activities need to have been created and identified or marked as being graded activities prior to being migrated into Canvas.
That's right. And you're not actually migrating it to Canvas, you're just linking it. But yes, you would want to. I'll cover that a little bit later when I talk about how to actually use this. But yeah, I'll show that process kind of in depth a little bit later. If that's, you know what? Actually, I'll just show it now since you're asking. So here is a sample chapter. Right now you can see I don't have any H5P content in it. It's just a regular chapter. In this case, this network has Pressbooks Results activated. So every chapter that an author edits, they will see. So down below, you'll see this LMS grade reporting information. I can't configure anything for grading because there is no H5P activity in the course. So instead, I'll come up here, I'll say I'm going to add a new H5P activity. And I will just do, there's a simple true-false activity. So I've added this very simple true-false question that's already been made. Now I detect there's one H5P activity. It's a true-false. If I click on this, I can actually see the activity and remind myself what it is. Okay, it's a true-false question. And the answer, I presume, is going to be true. Okay, great. So that's what the question is. And I would say, let's include that in the graded attempt. If I wanted to include all of them, I could select all, unselect all. But I'm going to include that, and then I'm going to choose a grading scheme, whether I want it to be the first attempt, average attempt, or best attempt. In most cases, best attempt is kindest, but you may also want to do average of all attempts. So I'll say best attempt, and this is the one activity. So that's now been configured for grading. At this point, if I were to go to the import stage, it would consider this a graded assignment. If I didn't have anything selected, it would not be a graded assignment. Does that make sense, Mary?
Yeah, that's perfect. That's
Okay.
exactly what I was looking for. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay. So that's how you would kind of configure it in the on the Pressbooks side. That's going to be the same no matter what LMS you're in. Now I want to show those of you who are using Blackboard, I'm going to show you your Blackboard course and what the demo course looks like in Blackboard. It will be very similar, but it's going to be Blackboardy rather than Canvasy. So here I have the Pressbooks Results Demo course. If you're a Blackboard user, you've already been added to this course. If Blackboard doesn't support self-enrollment, so if you need access to this, you'll have to let us know and ask for it. We have a brief survey form that you can fill out to request access. I don't have access to the link handy right now, but I will try to find it and put it in. Mitch, if you do have it, that'd be awesome, but if not, I can. So what you're seeing here is very similar to what you saw in the Canvas course. This is the demo course, and you see in Blackboard, here would be the course content. I could start by reading the introduction section. So once again, there's an intro that explains how this is being used. It's here, it's a Blackboard page. I'm going to click next, and I'm going to view the LTI content that is not a graded chapter. This is the same preview material. This is what an LTI launch looks like in Blackboard. So once again, we're seeing this is a live Pressbooks chapter, which is presenting the information as though it were native in Blackboard. When I'm done, I simply click X and I come back here. There is a discussion forum, just like in the Canvas course. If you have any questions about Pressbooks results, you can type them in here and we'll answer them. And then you have these graded activities. In this case, let's do the anatomy activity because we haven't seen that one yet. So this is a sample anatomy activity here. And this would be something I need to launch first. Actually, I have done this one in this course before, but so in this, I read through the learning objectives. I learn about epidermis, dermis, and hypodermis, and then I'm gonna fill in what I think the answers are here. Sorry, I did well on that one. Then it's gonna ask me some questions about what is the waterproof barrier. I believe that's this one. What is an immune system cell? I believe it. Yeah, okay, I'm doing all right. I've practiced this a little bit. Maybe a little bit help. Okay, melanin, ultraviolet radiation, great. And then at this point, the only one left is Merkel cells. Okay, so I've done some multiple choice questions. I got 4 out of 4 here. And then there's going to be a knowledge check here where I need to figure out the structures that are innervated by cutaneous nerves. I think it's this. Yes, all right, I'm doing well. And then what kind of burn? I'm going to say this is a first degree burn. The surface of the burn is dry. I believe that's a 3rd degree burn. The burn comes into the dermis, but not deeper. Okay, that's a 2nd degree burn. And then actually, paradoxically, this is also the 3rd degree burn. Okay, so I finished this activity and I got everything correct. And so I can see, okay, I've done this. And then I will close this activity and I will see in this, I can look at my grade book and you'd see, okay, 10 out of 10. I've graded that activity and I've done well on that. Just like in Canvas, there is also a results viewer. The results viewer will be exactly the same no matter which LMS you're in, but we'll launch it here and we'll display it in Blackboard. So an instructor or a student in Blackboard would see the same thing. You'd see, here's my assignment viewer, and the only one I've done here is the anatomy reading. Is that the one? Yeah. So you can see I got a 3 out of 3. 4 out of 4, 4 out of 4, and 4 out of 4. So perfect scores, and out of 15, I had a 15 out of 15, which translates to a 10 out of 10. And that is how the demo course works in Blackboard. So I will go and show Desire to Learn Brightspace last. So this is the demo course in D2L or Brightspace. It's going to kind of look familiar at this point, but usually you'd come in through content and you'd see here's all the content in this course. We'll start. There is a table of contents that shows me all the stuff in the course. The first thing is a how to use this demo course. I'm going to open this. This is a page built in D2L. It explains welcome to the course, what everything is. Okay, I understand. And I will go ahead and go to the next thing in the course. The next thing in this course is this module that says, oh, there's a discussion topic. So here's a discussion forum where you can ask any question you want. There is a person who's asked a question and it's been replied to, so you can view that in the course if you wanted to know the same question. And then after that, you'd see, again, this is what a Pressbooks chapter will look like in D2L. This is the live version of the chapter, and you're seeing it embedded in the LMS context here. And they're reading about it. Now I'm going to move on to the graded content and the graded activity. And the first one I will do, I haven't done this language activity yet, so I'll go ahead and try this language activity. Here, I'm practicing Portuguese verbs. So I've read all about these things, and then the question is, what verb form should be used for movable entities? I'll try this. Oh, that's non-correct. Okay, I could see the solution. Oh, it's going to be a star. Let's try that again. I checked a star. Okay, great. Now I'm going to practice by choosing the correct verb form. So, got that one wrong. I think I'll get better from here on out. Nope, I won't. And I'm nearly done here. Okay, I got 4 out of 6 here. And then I'll come down and there's going to be a direct learning about articles. Bear with me. How did I do here? Okay, I got 8 out of 9. And then there's a dialogue. I could listen to the dialogue.
Lição 1.
This is a demo, so I'll go a little faster. And then I need to click all of the conjugated forms of the verb ser. So I know most of them. They're going to look like this. And it says style, sow. Let's try that out. How did I do? Pretty good. Okay, 11 out of 13. So I finished this activity. I didn't do as well as I did on some of the past ones, but on this one I can come to grades. I can see how well did I do on this activity. I scored an 8.28 out of 10 there. So that's showing me my overall score. And as with before, there's also the chapter results viewer. So I could come into the Pressbooks results viewer. I could launch this and it would show me what I did on individual activities in this. So I could see I got 4 out of 6, 8 out of 9, 11 out of 13, 1 out of 1. So if I wanted to go back and retry it, these 2 activities would be the ones I would focus on. And if I looked at, I think I did this one as well in a previous test. No, I did anatomy of skin. And you can see I did perfectly on this one. So I can see I did well. I don't need to redo that one. So that's what a student would see in D2L Brightspace. And that's how the demo course works. Again, D2L doesn't have self-enrollment like Canvas and Moodle do. But if you wanted to be added to this course, you can fill out the link to the survey that Mitch shared in the chat. So that is how the demo course works. We want you to feel comfortable using the demo course, kind of exploring it, understanding it, so that if you choose to, you can add graded activities to your book, your course, and that you can add these activities to your LMS. So I've already shown a little bit of how this is configured in the Pressbooks book environment, and I've shown how you can bring it into a Canvas course. I'll show you now in D2L and in Blackboard how you can do the same thing, but so here in Blackboard, you're seeing, here's my sample course. The way to add Pressbooks content in Blackboard Ultra is to click this plus button here, and you'll see a bunch of different options that are available there. I believe what you press is Content Market. And then Content Market will show you all the LTI tools you have available. I'm going to pick the Pressbooks Content Selector, and it will bring up a content selector that shows me all of the available content I have in my Pressbooks network. I could bring in the Pressbooks Results Viewer here, and then I could find the book that I wanted to bring in. Say it's the training book, I could bring everything in, or I could bring in just a linked resource, which is an ungraded chapter, or all of the graded assignments, or something in between. So that is how you would do it. I'm not going to actually do this because I'm in the actual demo course and I don't want to mess the demo course up. But I would click at the bottom, you would then click select content and it would automatically create those LTI links for you. All right, so I'm back in the D2L course. If I wanted to add content in D2L via the LTI connection, from existing activities, you'll see a list of all of your external LTI tools. And again, I would select then the one that says Pressbooks Content Selector. And then this will launch that content selector in D2L. In D2L Brightspace, you'll see here's all the content I can bring in. So I could bring in the results viewer and I would see all of my content. I could choose to bring in just the linked resource or graded assignments or everything in a given book. When I've selected what I want, I would then click select content and it would bring me back to a page that looks like this, where these external learning tool links would have been created. If I want to change the point value in D2L Brightspace after it's been created, again, you can come to, I'm sorry, you don't do it from here. You actually do it from the activity itself. If I click on this, I could then say, like, as an instructor, I can actually click this, I believe, and down below, you'll see it's tied to this assessment, and that's the grade item. You can add dates and restrictions here. You can add a description. Questions there about how to bring in content if you're using D2L or Blackboard?
Steel, just to sort of clarify, because you think you did, because there was a separate question. You don't necessarily just have to bring in a page from Pressbooks that has H5P. You can bring in an entire chapter of which one page would have an H5P, right? So you can bring everything in, right?
Correct. Yeah. So,
Okay.
so what I was showing there is, and you may use the language a little bit differently, but each kind of discrete editable content in Pressbooks, the default term for that is a chapter. You might be calling it a unit or a subchapter or whatever, but each individual thing that has its own URL can be brought in as a separate link to your LMS. And when you bring it in, it can either be brought in as just a reading, like a link, or as a graded assignment. You don't have to make them graded assignments. If you were to make it a graded assignment, you would do that by adding H5P and then configuring it for grading before you brought it into your course. And then once you brought it in, it would automatically create that gradebook connection and it would send grades to the LMS and show up in the chapter results viewer. If you don't configure it for grading, you're just using it like a normal reading and you can still use the LTI connection. It just won't pass grades back. No big deal. But your students would still be able to see the material in the course. They'd be logged in. They'd be able to complete the activities. You as the instructor just wouldn't see, you would have no visibility into what they did, but it wouldn't stop them from accessing the material or even launching it in your course. I'm in the Pressbooks demo course in Moodle, and I'm going to share my screen here. I'm in an older version of Moodle, but this also works in Moodle for the 4.0 range, and I just don't have that demo ready to hand right now. So this is the Moodle course as an instructor. You can see it's the same organization as all the other courses. There's a using this demo course page that explains what this course is and how to use it. This would be what a Pressbooks chapter looks like, an ungraded chapter launched in Moodle. You can see here's the content. You can just read it directly in the Moodle interface. Then when I'm done, you can scroll to the next thing. Here's the discussion forum. I'm going to move into a graded activity here. Let's do one that we haven't done before, this chemical equations. And before I do that, I need to switch role to student. So I'm viewing in the student view. So hopefully it'll record my grade. If not, I'll need to log out and actually log in as a real student. So here's a chapter about chemistry. I'm going to do very poorly in this because I don't know much about chemistry, but okay, the solution was 2.04. At least I'll get this right here if I retry it. Okay. I don't know. Okay, I got a 0 on that one. 2.04 worked last time, but this time it's 39.0. Okay, no idea. And then at the end, is there another activity? Okay, those are the activities. So I did pretty poorly, but I completed it. If I come into grades as a student, okay, it didn't record it in my student view, so I probably have to log out and log in as a real student. I'm not sure if I have the test account saved. I apologize. I wasn't prepared to do the Moodle demo.
I just was curious because I was told my school uses Canvas, but
Oh,
my
sure.
project I was told is going to use Moodle. And I haven't seen Moodle since, well, a really long time in grad school.
Okay.
And most of us actually on the project, I think, are using Canvas. So we might try to convince them to use Canvas. But I just wanted to see Moodle because it's been a long time. But from what
Yeah.
I've experienced, and I've done Blackboard years ago, is that they all are pretty similar.
I agree.
You know, you just got to find, like you were at some point, where you'd make certain changes that you might want to make.
Yeah, and
So I do have one question though.
great.
So we're building this for other people to potentially use. What if like somebody who's using it doesn't want it to be graded? Do they
Great
have an ability to choose to have it not graded?
Erica, those are terrific questions. So this is where it gets a little bit complicated. So I'll try to explain it simply, and if I don't make sense, then you can stop me. So
Okay.
in order to, so when you publish an open book, anyone can just go to the open web and use it and access the link. And you can take
Right.
the URL and you can just put the URL in your course. That won't pass grades back. It'll just be a link to the open book.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to make a tighter connection via LTI, you can. And the LTI connection will load the content securely in the browser frame, and it will log the user in and allow them to access private content and even allow them to pass back grades. It requires what's called LTI to do that.
Okay.
LTI can only be connected between a given Pressbooks network and a
Mhm.
given learning management system.
Okay. So that's
So
probably why they're making us build. They're having us do the book and do the LMS,
yeah,
so that if somebody wants it, they will also take the LMS.
so what would happen in that case would be you've published the book at whatever URL. You
Mhm.
could connect that Pressbooks network to as many LMSs as you want, but you
Oh,
have to
wow.
have permission from the network administrator and the
Uh-huh.
LMS administrator. So usually, if the
Oh,
Pressbooks
okay.
network is operated by, let's say, the University of Florida, the
Uh-huh.
University of Florida will generally only connect their Pressbooks network with their LMS. But they
Right.
could connect, like if it was a system, if it was shared by the whole state of Colorado, the state of
Yeah.
Colorado might say, we're going to connect this Pressbooks network with all of the LMSs that are used by public universities in Colorado. And then when you have a book, the individual book would be configured for grading. And
Mhm.
those settings would be used anytime the book is put in any course.
Mhm.
If you don't like the settings and you want them to be different, or you don't want it to be graded, you've got two options. Just use the public URL of the book so that there's no LTI connection, or
Mhm.
you
Okay.
make a copy or a clone of the book to your
Mhm.
network, and then you
Mhm.
can adjust it to your liking. So if you
Okay.
want different settings, or if you want to just clone the book to your network, and then you probably would have the LTI connection to your LMS. So that's a little bit of a long-winded explanation, but hopefully that.
No. It's good. It's good. It's good because this project we're wanting people to use it, but I don't want to tell them how to use it. You know what I'm saying?
Totally.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
want to give
Thank
people
you.
choices, right? That's the whole
Right.
point of
Yeah. Yeah.
open education. Yeah. So that's how kind of it works. Like usually the network that's hosting it will have an LTI connection. Now, if you don't see that configuration box under your chapter, it's because your network hasn't turned Pressbooks results on. So you would need to talk to your network manager, who talked to us. We'd happy to turn it on. And if you don't see that content selector option in your LMS, it's because your LMS admin and your Pressbooks network manager haven't yet configured LTI. We are working really hard to set this up for anybody who's a Pressbook client who wants it. And we've managed to complete it for a lot of institutions, but not everybody has finished this process. I don't want to put pressure on anyone, but often hearing from interested instructors can be a motivator for people to make sure that whatever is on their queue gets done. So that's how it works. The LTI connection is pretty straightforward. I won't show that part because it's really for LMS admins and Pressbooks network managers. But Mitch has really been helpfully putting in a bunch of guide resources. There's guide resources for every part of what I just showed. The guide resource for configuring a graded assignment is in a guide chapter, and it's here. So I'll put it in the chat. This would be, if you're an instructor, this would be where to get started. You'd want to make sure that Pressbooks Results is active for your network, and that you'd want to create and add the H5P activities and choose your grading scheme. The next step after that will be bringing your content into the LMS. And that's discussed here in this chapter. And so those are really the kind of basic steps that you need to follow to start using Pressbooks Results. Yeah, you're welcome to try anything you want in the demo course for now. You're going to be logged in as a student. If you need to see the instructor view for some reason, you can let us know. We generally don't want to add people as instructors to the demo courses because you're able to see everything else people do, and you could edit the course, and we don't want the demo course to be accidentally messed up or broken. We can try to accommodate whatever you need to be able to experience the demo course, see how it's working, and have any questions you have answered so that you feel confident and comfortable making the right decision for you and your students in the future. I know I covered a lot and I did it relatively quickly. I'm happy to pause, go back over anything, or show anything again, or show something that I didn't show before. Anybody else have questions or things they'd like to see for the demo courses?
Steel, can I ask just a general question? And apologies if you answered this
Yeah, no
previously.
problem.
On a higher level, assuming I'm Canadian, so we have provinces, but same thing as states, right? If your Pressbooks provider adds the whole state, let's say, right, and there's that LTI integration, as long as the Pressbooks is openly available or published, does that mean that anybody can add anyone's book, or like, you know what I mean? Or do you have to
Right.
be the author and the
No.
contributor or whatever? Like, how does that work?
Great question. So the way that that content selector that I showed you works, the content selector, when you click the content selector, it finds out who you are on the Pressbooks network. It knows who you are because you're logged in via LTI. And then it will only show you content in books that you have a role in, which means you've been added to the book by somebody. So you wouldn't see, like, if, let's say you're at the biggest provincial network is eCampus Ontario, and I'm assuming that's probably where you.
That's exactly what we're using.
So there are, 10,000 or more books on the eCampus Ontario network. It would be overwhelming to see all of those books, especially since you probably had a part in only a few of them. So what you will see is anything that you have a role in. If you wanted to add a book that you don't see, you would need to either clone that book so that you have a role in it, or contact the authors and say, hey, I'd like to add this to my course. Can you add me with the whatever role is appropriate? They could put you as a subscriber so you can't edit anything. They could give you edit access if you needed it. That's just something for you to work out with whoever the author or the owner of that book is. But you will only see content that you have for books that you have a role in, is basically what you'll see.
Totally makes sense. I understand exactly what you're saying. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
Did you put the link for the Moodle demo, and are we able to self-enroll
Oh
for
yeah,
that?
sorry. Let me give you the self-enrollment instructions. So there is a document that has enrollment instructions for both Moodle and Canvas. Mitch has found it, and I've got it here. I think that's the same link that Mitch just shared with me. Great. Mitch and I put the link at the same time. Thank you, Mitch. Mitch is usually faster and better organized than I am. If you ever email premium support, that's who you'll be dealing with. So just know. There.
Love it. Thank you.
So
What was that other
and
one?
there'll be links.
Adding grading assignments to LMSs. Should I copy that as well, you think? I'm making notes.
Yeah, Erica, where are you, if you don't mind, where are you teaching? What institution are you in?
I'm at Fletcher, but I'm in a Louisiana group that's doing an OER for a microbiology course.
Are you part of that Lewis?
Yes, Lewis group.
Yeah.
I'm in the Lewis group. Yes.
All
I
right,
am a
so-
Lewis grouper.
Okay, so Lewis does have LTI connections with most of the LMSs, but I
Yeah.
don't think that they've added the deep linking components yet. So we need to work with, I'm not sure
Okay.
if it's Emily or if it's a network manager or
Yeah,
yeah.
probably Emily.
So we can work with them at Fletcher to make sure that you have what you need to start using this feature if you want it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think our group is definitely gonna want it. We're in the early stages, like we just finished our draft of chapter 1 and we're getting ready to like really write. So we did chapter 1 in a Google Doc, but we're moving to Pressbooks. So someone had given me this link for signing up for this free thing. So thank you for that. And I guess I'm the representative for our group. We do actually have, I think, 2 people in the group that have done Pressbooks before, but I don't know if they know about this new feature. So I'm so glad I logged on today to be able to bring this to my group.
We're glad you're here too. I'll share the recording with you and you can pass it along to any of your colleagues there too.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And it's always fun to see the biology and STEM courses and stuff with their interactive practice activities.
Oh yeah, they need it so desperately.
I would if I was studying biology. You can see how well I did on the chemistry. Not well at all.
Quite honestly, I wasn't paying attention. I was busy trying to update my notes, but that's okay. I couldn't have probably helped you too much either. It's been a while since I've done that level of chemistry.
I'm going to stop the recording at this point and say thank you all for attending. I really appreciate you. I will stay for the next couple of minutes and answer any questions about demo courses that you might want to ask off the recording. So thanks for your time. We'll get this recording processed and sent out to you. And we really appreciate you and your interest in Pressbooks Results.